Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is another one of my model reviews. I've done a few of these now. They were surprisingly popular in terms of the fact that somebody actually watched them. So I thought I'd do another one, and in this one I'm going to look at the Britbus Leyland Atlantean model. I've got not one, not two, but three of them to look at. One of each of the types of casting that Britbus have done. You can see them all here in the boxes. The boxes are all similar concepts. Two of them, as you can see, have got a viewing window and the other one hasn't. That's just to save you from having to turn it round like that to be able to see it. But the boxes are very similar. It's a cardboard outer and a plastic inner that's the same. So I'm going to unbox one of them, and then obviously the process is the same for all three. So as I say, a cardboard outer, you just slide that off, and then the plastic tray comes out from within it. You then lift the top of the box off, and then the model is there secured by two bits of plastic, one front, one back. They just come off, he said with confidence. Yep, there we go. They normally come off a bit easier than that actually. Limited edition certificate there. It's a piece of plastic on a Britbus model. So this one is number 470 of 1008. So there you go folks, in a blink of an eye we've unboxed the other two as well, and there are all three of the models. So the first question is, what is it? Well, it's a Leyland Atlantean with a Park Royal row body. It gets a bit complicated a bit quickly with these. Most of them were built by Park Royal. It's marketed as a Park Royal body on the literature from Britbus. This is one of the rail buses there, P18951M, formerly of East Yorkshire, sold to Metro City Bus of Hull, along with its sister P18947M that you can see just next to it, and then both reacquired by East Yorkshire when they took Metro over. So that's the rail thing there. So most of them, as I say, were built by Park Royal in London. Some of them were built by Rowe at Leeds. Park Royal and Rowe were both at one time part of the ACV group, Associated Commercial Vehicles. ACV was bought by Leyland, so both Park Royal and Rowe became part of the Leyland group, later British Leyland. So they worked closely together. So say most of them were built by Park Royal at London, some were built by Rowe at Leeds. And just to add to the mix, some of them had framework built by Park Royal, but the body itself was finished off at Rowe at Leeds, so they were known as Park Royal Rowe. The only way to tell who actually built an individual bus in real life was to look at the builder's plates on it, whether it had a Park Royal or a Rowe one, or if it was a Park Royal Rowe. If it was built by both of them, it would have had two plates. But they're all essentially the same bus. If you're looking at it thinking, well, yeah, you know, always says it's a Park Royal one on the Britbus box, but I remember my local operator had some Rowe-bodied ones. It's the same thing. They both built the same body. There were three basic variations. Most of the ones built were single door. Kudos to Britbus because they've done all three variations. Some of them were dual door with a centre staircase. Sorry, wrong one. Spot the error. Dual door with a centre staircase, so you can see the windows there and the staircase is there. And there were some that were dual door with a forward staircase. That arguably was safer. With the centre staircase, if you happen to slip and fall down the stairs as you were coming down, you went straight out of the centre door onto the pavement, whereas on the forward staircase you landed next to the luggage rack on the floor of the bus. Obviously these buses were in service in the days before mobile phones, so nobody would film you and put you on TikTok in those days. But yeah, but kudos to Britbus. As I say, most manufacturers would have just done single door and dual door and just not worried about where the staircase was, but they did all three variations, and I've got one of each to review because I like to be thorough and comprehensive. So we'll start with the dual door forward staircase one. This is a London Country North East bus. It's modelled on fleet number AN121, registration VPB121M. And this one was based at Grays Depot. London Country North East was a slightly odd creation. London Country was a large national bus company subsidiary, formerly part of London Transport, covered outer London. Its operating territory was like a polo mint. There was a big hole in the middle of it, which was London Transport, and London Country did all the outer London bit, all round the outside. It was split into four around the time of deregulation and privatisation. London Country North East, as the name suggests, covered the north east part of the territory. The depots in places like Harlow, St Albans, but they also had an isolated operation at Grays in Essex, and this bus is modelled as one of the Grays ones. So we'll have a look around this one in some detail, and we'll just have a look more quickly at the other ones with the variations. So looking at the front, it does capture the look of the bus quite well. There is, I've said before on reviews of Britbus models, there is a caricature aspect to some of them, and unfortunately this does apply to the Atlantean a bit. From the front it looks quite good. When you get to the side it does look a little bit like a cartoon drawing of one. Only slightly, it's not as pronounced as on some of them. But yeah, going back to the front, it does actually capture the look of it quite well from the front. You've got the BET double curved windscreen, the distinctive moulded front panel that these buses had. You've got the rather nifty destination blind arrangement there. This clips out, so Britbus could do a variety of destination blind layouts with one casting. If you look at this one, it's got the London 3-part, but again that clips out, so if I wanted to do it I could swap that to a single piece by just swapping them over and give this one a 3-part blind. I'm not going to do that, but you can do. If you go through repainting them, it's quite easy. Just remove that, put your new destination onto there, and then clip the panel back. It's very, very easy, and as I say, quite nifty. So we turn it to the side. Again, it's not a bad representation. A lot of the details printed. The driver's butterfly valve on some of them is in relief. On this one it's printed. The indicator's in relief. For some reason it's not picked out in orange. I may rectify that at some point. The doors are printed on, which is a bit of a shame. It does detract from the appearance slightly. I have been known on buses like this, Corgi OOC did it as well, to get a piece of clear plastic, cut out the area where the window is to make a framework, paint the framework and then glue it over the existing door so it gives it a bit of relief. I don't know if I'm going to do that on this one. Go around the back again, it's not a bad representation. The engine flap does open. There we go, to reveal a representation of the Leyland 680 engine. And then the offside, as I say, on this one, although it's a dual door with the forward staircase. Roof moulded quite nicely, and they've also done, as in all Britbus models, a representation of the chassis framing, just in case you wanted to display it upside down, or if you've got like a ramp on your display and you can model it lifted into the air. So let's deal with the elephant in the room, the slightly caricature effect of it. It is very, very slightly too low, basically. The rail bus was 14'6" high, which comes out about 58mm in 4mm to the foot scale. I've just measured this one. It is 57mm from the top of the roof down to the bottom of the tyre there, so it's actually only a millimetre short. If you get a kit-built one, they are significantly taller, which does improve the appearance. The kit-built ones are significantly taller. So it is slightly short, but the windows are slightly too big as well, and I think that's what does contribute to the caricature. The windows are too large in proportion to the rest of the bus. And because of that as well, the cove panel isn't as deep as it should be. That should come down probably part way down the window there, and then the window be kind of more squat, shall we say. It's not a bad representation, don't get me wrong, it just, that appearance does let it down slightly. If we look at the other dual door example, the one with the centre staircase, I bought this one in a slightly damaged condition. It's got a wiper missing, as you can see, and that was the only thing mentioned on the inventory. I got it from a well-known model dealer. Luckily I look at the photographs, I realised there was something amiss, and one of the pillars was bulging out on the photo, but it was a good price, so I didn't let that put me off. When I got it, the pillar had actually cracked, and that's why it was sticking out, and as you can just about see, it snapped when I took it out of the box. But yeah, otherwise than that, it's quite similar. You can see Britbus have actually done the interior differently as well, which is correct. On this one, it's got backward facing seat towards the rear, facing the rear seat. On this one, the seat's turned sideways, the variation that these buses had in real life. So again, it's good, and kudos to Britbus. I know it's easy to go on about the you know, the caricature look, as I keep calling it, but it really is, you know, kudos to them for producing the variations and bothering to do it. So yeah, spin it round, and then again, there we go. And then we go to the single door version. This one's got a few issues, which we'll come to in a bit. But again, interior correctly modelled with the seat before the back one facing towards the back. As I said earlier on, the driver's butterfly valve to open the door is in relief on this one. You can't really tell, but it is. Whereas on the dual door ones, it's just printed on. A lot of the detail printed on, like the grills, just kind of printed on there. And again, this was bought in damaged condition. It's got a mirror missing. It's also in an incorrect box. But to be fair, I wouldn't have noticed if they hadn't told me at the dealer I bought it from. It's actually a Britbus Atlantean box, as it should be, but as you can see, it's a Hemmelbus one that it's come out of, whereas in fact the model is Southdown. But yeah, all in all, it's a decent enough model. The rail ones were operated mainly by National Bus Company subsidiaries. The ones who didn't want to buy Bristol VRs, or the ones who wanted to dual source and get two types. So East Yorkshire bought VRs as well as Atlanteans. Some municipals also had them. Plymouth City Transport springs to mind, they had quite a lot of them. Nottingham also bought a batch of 10 with row bodies towards the end of production. Theirs had a different variation. Britbus did do that. I've not got a Nottingham one, unfortunately. It was the same as a single door, but what Nottingham had specified was an extra window between the door and the first side window there. Now Britbus printed that on, understandably. You can't expect them just to put an extra hole in the casting just for one release. So they printed the window on. And the Nottingham ones also had a help bumper. High energy level polymer, the big sticky out black rubber bumpers that were a Nottingham feature. And Britbus did actually model that on it, so instead of having the fog lights there, it was right across there. As I say, I haven't got one, but they did do that variation, so again, kudos to Britbus for doing that. Now we come on to the thorny problem of price, and I'm going to talk about some of the problems with the models in this as well. Britbus ceased trading a number of years ago. Some of their castings have been re-released under different kind of names or different umbrellas. I think they are trying to get going again, but they did cease trading, as a result of which the prices went up. Now, if you watched my reviews before, you know I don't pay a lot for models. So the most expensive one here was this London Country North East. I've always wanted one in this livery. I like it. It was a short-lived livery in real life. I never actually saw a bus carrying it in real life either, but I've always liked it. It's a nice livery. This was £28 including postage, but I paid an extra £5 for it to get faster postage. But yeah, off a well-known internet auction site. And that's a good price for one of these. I've seen them far more than that. Some of the releases, some of the more scarce ones, you can pay up to 90 odd pounds. I saw a Nottingham one for about 92, I think it was. 92, 93. Now I would never pay that much for a Britbus release. And I'll tell you why. If you ever do buy one, please do study the photographs of it carefully, because they do tend to suffer from damage. The bodywork is a mixture of plastic and metal, and they're very, very hard to do anything with. As you can see, as I said earlier on, the window pillar there has snapped off. Again, it wouldn't have got much stress. I don't know where the bus has been, but it's clearly not been played with or anything like that. It's been on somebody's shelf or in its box or wherever, and it's still managed to lose a window pillar. We'll go back to this Southdown one and its slightly strange appearance. The problem is, as you can see if I turn it over, that the sides are beginning to bulge out in the middle. that's a fairly common problem with certain Britbus castings, that the metal part of it starts to bulge. Now you can't do anything with it. If you try and push it back again, it will just snap, and that is the voice of experience. I bought an AEC Merlin that was sold as having warped sides. I thought, that's alright, I'll just, you know, push it back again. And it broke into 1,000 pieces because, as I say, they're a composite of metal and plastic. So they're not just metal. The window pillars tend to be plastic. Pushed it back and the whole thing just broke into, as I say, 1,000 pieces. I think a couple of bits of it are still in my spares box. But yeah, so once they go, you can't really get them back. That's why it looks a bit weird, because it's caused the windows to start moving about, so they're not quite positioned correctly. Because obviously the body isn't holding them in place, it's the body's coming out and the windows are coming loose as a result. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. The idea was to paint it in a different livery, which I may well do and just ignore the problems it's got. If I paint it carefully and put the windows back in carefully, maybe won't be able to tell too much if it's stood on display. But that's why I would never pay £90 odd for one, because you don't know. You know, if you can study the photos carefully enough, but you can't always see damage like this. And if you pay that much money and it comes like this, there's nothing you can do with it. You either put it with bent side, or like I say, if you try and repair it, it just breaks to pieces and you end up with a load of spares in your spare box. So that's why I would never pay that much. So this one was 22 quid. As I say, it was sold with a mirror missing and incorrect box, but I noticed as well it had a slightly strange appearance, and I suspected it was due to this warping. So I was kind of aware of its issues. You can also see that the fixing lugs for the front window have kind of become obvious. It looks like there's glue on it. There isn't. It's just the fixing lugs. Again, it sometimes happens on Britbus. This one was £21. Again, sold with a wiper missing. I think I've got a wiper in my spares box somewhere that I can put on it, so that's not a problem. But yeah, so I would always be very, very careful paying any kind of inflated price for one of these. They are nice models. Obviously, if you really want one in your collection, a particular one, and the only one you can find is a high price, then pay it. But please do study the photographs on any internet listings or anything like that, or study the model if you've got it physically in front of you before you buy it, because otherwise you may get one like that. But yeah, I mean, all in all, as I say, it's a good model. There were some production problems like the warping, things like that on some of them, but I don't all suffer with it. This one's absolutely fine. This London Country North East, it's from a display case. This one is fine in terms of its actual body structure. It's not warped. It's just got that pillar missing. I think the other one's cracked there, but a bit of glue to reinforce that. Put a bit of plastic back in there. Absolutely not a problem. But yeah, again, kudos to Britbus when they were on the go for bothering to do the variations of them. Nice model. Thoroughly recommended. If you want one, go and buy one. But as I say, just be careful. Don't end up paying mega bucks for one that's absolutely knackered. So as always, thank you for joining me. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.